Welcome to my little story corner. Tilly, a young and curious turtle, lived on the shores of a quiet bay surrounded by coral reefs and shimmering blue waters. Yet, her heart longed for adventure. One day, she overheard the elders speaking of the Sapphire Tide, a mystical underwater paradise hidden deep in the ocean. Legend said it granted true love and eternal happiness to those brave enough to find it. Tilly's heart raced. Though her small world was safe and familiar, she yearned for something greater. Her friends warned her of the dangers, dark trenches, predators, and the unknown, but Tilly couldn't shake the dream. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the water in hues of gold and lavender, she made her decision. She would find the Sapphire Tide, no matter the risks. With a pouch of seaweed snacks tied around her flipper and her heart brimming with hope, she set out at dawn. The calm bay gave way to the vast open ocean, its endless expanse both thrilling and intimidating. The gentle waves Tilly had always known turned into rolling swells. She swam cautiously, adjusting to the strong currents and unfamiliar depths. Schools of fish darted past her, shimmering like rainbows. She marveled at the beauty, but loneliness began to creep in. Could she truly do this alone? As if in answer, a sudden commotion caught her attention. A tiny golden seahorse struggled to escape the grasp of a hungry grouper. Without thinking, Tilly sped toward the danger, using her sturdy shell to block the predator. The grouper, startled, swam away in defeat. "Thank you," gasped the seahorse. "I'm Toby. You saved my life." "I'm Tilly," she replied, smiling. "And I think we both could use some company." Tilly and Toby swam side by side, their friendship blossoming as they shared stories. Toby, it turned out, was no stranger to adventure. He had been exploring the ocean in search of a place where he truly belonged. Together, they decided that finding the Sapphire Tide could be the answer for both of them. Toby's small size made him swift and agile, while Tilly's strength and determination steadied them. They laughed and marveled at the ocean's wonders, from bioluminescent jellyfish to underwater forests of swaying kelp. "We'll find it," Toby assured her. "No matter how far, I'll stick with you." Tilly felt a warmth in her chest. For the first time, she realized this journey wasn't just about a destination. It was about the company along the way. As the duo traveled farther into uncharted waters, they encountered the Whispering Currents, a mystical stretch of ocean said to guide travelers to their destinies, or trap them forever. The water shimmered with strange patterns, and voices seemed to echo in the depths. "Tilly, are you sure we should go this way?" Toby asked, nervously glancing around. "We don't have a map, Toby," she replied, "but the legend said to follow the current's whispers. We'll have to trust it." The whispers grew louder, guiding them through narrow underwater canyons and past ancient shipwrecks. At times, they were tempted to turn back, but the currents seemed to shield them from danger. By the time they emerged into open water again, both felt a renewed sense of purpose. Their next challenge was a sprawling coral maze, teeming with life, but nearly impossible to navigate. Brightly colored fish darted in and out, and Toby's enthusiasm quickly turned into frustration as they kept swimming in circles. "This is impossible," Toby groaned, slumping onto a rock. Tilly thought for a moment. Maybe we're looking at this wrong. Let's observe how the fish move. They seem to know the way. With patience, they followed the fish and found the exit. On the other side, they discovered an ancient carving etched into a coral pillar. It depicted the Sapphire Tide, glowing with an otherworldly light. "We're on the right path," Tilly whispered, her heart swelling with hope. As they ventured further, the sound of singing filled the water. Entranced, Tilly and Toby followed the melody to a secluded cove where mermaids lounged on rocks, their shimmering tails reflecting the sunlight. "Welcome, travelers," one mermaid said, her voice like a lullaby. "Few make it this far. What brings you to our waters?" Tilly explained their quest, and the mermaids listened intently. "The Sapphire Tide lies beyond the abyssal trenches," the mermaid said. "But beware. Many who seek it are tested beyond their limits. Remember, only the pure of heart may find it." The mermaids gifted them a pearl that would glow brighter as they approached their destination. "Use it wisely," they warned before disappearing into the depths. The journey grew darker as Tilly and Toby neared the abyssal trenches. The water turned cold, and shadows danced ominously in the depths. "Stay close," Tilly said, her voice steady despite her own unease. Suddenly, a shadow loomed, a giant squid. Its tentacles lashed out, and Toby froze in fear. Tilly acted quickly, using her shell to shield him. "Toby, swim upward and find cover," she shouted, dodging the squid's grasp. With courage and clever maneuvers, they escaped. "Tilly," Toby said afterward, still shaken, "I wouldn't have made it without you." "You would have done the same for me," she replied, smiling. That night, as they rested in a hidden cove, the pearl glowed faintly. Toby stared at it, deep in thought. "Do you think the Sapphire Tide is real?" he asked. "I have to believe it is," Tilly said. "But even if we don't find it, I wouldn't trade this journey for anything." Toby smiled. "Me neither. You've shown me what true friendship means, Tilly." The pearl's glow brightened, as if affirming their bond. A sudden storm disrupted their progress the next day. The ocean churned violently, and the waves threatened to separate them. "Hold on," Tilly shouted, using all her strength to fight the current. Toby clung to her shell as they were tossed about. When the storm finally subsided, they found themselves far from their original course. Exhausted but alive, they agreed to rest before resuming their search. While exploring a kelp forest for food, they encountered an old, scarred dolphin named Marlowe. "You're searching for the Sapphire Tide, aren't you?" he asked, his voice gravelly but kind. "How do you know?" Toby asked, astonished. "Because I once searched for it too," Marlowe said. "Let me guide you for a while." With Marlowe's help, they learned new ways to navigate the ocean and avoid dangers. His wisdom proved invaluable, and their trust in him grew. Marlowe led them to the edge of the abyssal trenches, where the water dropped into inky darkness. "This is as far as I can go," Marlowe said. "The rest of the journey is yours." Though nervous, Tilly and Toby thanked him and prepared to dive into the unknown. As they descended, the pearl glowed brighter, lighting their way. The abyssal trenches stretched out like a never-ending chasm. Darkness enveloped them, but the glowing pearl illuminated their path. Strange creatures with luminescent bodies floated in the water, their eerie beauty captivating and intimidating. "Tilly, do you think anyone else has ever made it this far?" Toby asked, his voice trembling. "I don't know," Tilly admitted, her gaze fixed ahead. "But we're here now, and we can't turn back." Their determination carried them deeper, though the oppressive silence made them feel small and vulnerable. Suddenly, an enormous anglerfish appeared, its sharp teeth glinting in the faint light. The creature lunged, but Tilly and Toby worked together to evade it, narrowly escaping its jaws. Emerging from the trenches, they discovered a hidden cavern adorned with glowing crystals. The pearl's light reflected off the walls, creating a dazzling display. "This must be a sign," Toby exclaimed. Inside, they found an inscription etched into the stone. It read, "Only those who understand the power of love and friendship will find the Sapphire Tide." Tilly touched the inscription, feeling a surge of warmth. "We're closer than we think," she said, hope rekindled. As they left the cavern, a giant sea serpent blocked their path. Its emerald eyes glinted with intelligence. "You seek the Sapphire Tide," it hissed. "Prove your worth, or turn back." The serpent tested their courage by surrounding them with illusions of their greatest fears. Tilly faced her fear of failure, while Toby confronted his fear of abandonment. By relying on each other, they broke free from the illusions. "You have passed," the serpent said, slithering aside. Beyond the serpent lay the crystal sea, where the water shimmered like liquid diamonds. The pearl glowed brighter than ever, guiding them through this enchanting realm. Tilly and Toby encountered schools of fish that seemed to dance in unison, forming patterns that hinted at the way forward. Following these clues, they navigated the sea with awe and determination. Despite their progress, doubts began to creep into Toby's mind. "What if the Sapphire Tide is just a legend?" he asked. Tilly paused, her heart heavy with the weight of his question. "But even if it's just a legend, the journey itself has been worth it. Look at what we've learned, what we've shared. We're stronger for it, no matter what happens next." Toby nodded, his resolve strengthening. "You're right. We've come this far. We can't give up now." Together, they pressed on, though the path ahead seemed more uncertain than ever. As they swam deeper into uncharted waters, they encountered a massive whirlpool. It swirled with terrifying force, threatening to pull them into its depths. "We have to go through it," Tilly said, determination in her voice. The currents were fierce, and the pressure intense. Tilly used all her strength to push forward, while Toby followed closely behind. At times, it felt as though the whirlpool would consume them, but together, they managed to steer clear of its most dangerous spirals. When they finally broke through to calm waters, they were exhausted but triumphant. The Sea of Echoes awaited them next. This part of the journey was known for distorting sounds and creating illusions that played with travelers' minds. The silence was overwhelming, save for the haunting echoes of their own voices, which distorted and warped into something unsettling. "Tilly, what's happening?" Toby asked, his voice shaking. "I can't tell what's real." Tilly held out a flipper. "It's just the echoes, Toby. Don't listen to them. Listen to me. We're in this together." With those words, Toby found the strength to push through the disorienting sounds, focusing on Tilly's voice as a beacon of clarity. Slowly, they swam through the sea of echoes, emerging on the other side stronger and more connected than ever before. Beyond the sea of echoes, they discovered the ruins of a once great underwater city. Its towers, though crumbled and overtaken by coral, held an undeniable sense of majesty. Here, the ocean seemed to hold its breath, as though waiting for them to make a decision. "This is it," Tilly whispered. "This city must have believed in the Sapphire Tide." Toby agreed, his heart quickening. They explored the ruins, finding carvings on the walls that depicted the Sapphire Tide's shimmering waters. "We're so close," Tilly said. "I can feel it." As they ventured deeper into the city, they encountered an octopus named Una, who had lived in the ruins for years. Una had heard of the Sapphire Tide and offered to guide them through the labyrinthine streets of the city, where the path forward was hidden in shadows and confusion. "This way," Una instructed, leading them through narrow corridors and over seaweed-draped bridges. They came upon a massive stone door, its surface adorned with glowing symbols. "Only those who understand the tides of time may pass," Una murmured as she traced the symbols. Tilly and Toby shared a glance. Without speaking, they pressed their flippers against the door, and it slowly creaked open. Beyond it lay a long, winding tunnel. At its end was a small chamber, the walls lined with ancient, glowing pearls. One pearl in the center of the room pulsed with light, and in its glow they saw the inscription, "Only those who understand the rhythm of the tides may reach the Sapphire Tide." Tilly touched the pearl, and a rush of understanding filled her. She had learned the rhythm of the ocean through her journey, the ebb and flow, the rise and fall. It was not just about reaching the destination, it was about embracing the journey itself. The ground beneath them rumbled, and the tunnel shifted. A new path opened, leading them toward their final destination. Finally, after all their trials, they arrived at the heart of the Sapphire Tide. The water here sparkled with an ethereal glow, casting light on everything around them. The air felt alive with magic, and the very ocean seemed to hum with energy. "This is it," Toby whispered, awe in his voice. They swam deeper into the heart of the Sapphire Tide, where the water was warm and comforting. The colors danced in the water, shifting and changing in ways they could never have imagined. This was not just a paradise, it was a place of true love and understanding, a sanctuary for those who had endured the trials of the ocean with courage and compassion. Tilly and Toby gazed at each other, their bond stronger than ever. The Sapphire Tide had not just granted them access to a hidden paradise, it had deepened their friendship and their understanding of what it meant to love and be loved. "The true treasure was the journey, Toby," Tilly said, her voice filled with emotion. "And the companionship along the way," Toby added, his heart full of gratitude. They spent their days in the Sapphire Tide, helping others who sought it out, offering guidance, and sharing the lessons they had learned. Their bond only grew stronger, and the two friends found peace in knowing that their love for each other was the greatest gift of all. Together, they had faced every challenge, every obstacle, and emerged victorious. Though the Sapphire Tide was a place of beauty, they knew that the adventures would never truly end. With each passing day, The ocean held new mysteries to discover, new friends to make, and new lessons to learn. And so, Tilly and Toby, together, began the next chapter of their journey, knowing that as long as they had each other, there was no challenge too great for them to overcome.